In Starfield, you're able to cut the pins on some of these emergency doors with your cutter. This will open up alternative paths during some quests or in certain dungeons. And when you're flying around in your spaceship, there's an alternative control mode in game. By holding down the space bar or the right bumper if you're using a controller, you'll switch over to using your ship's thrusters, giving you far more precise movements when you're trying to go up, down, left, or right. And you can even do this while you still have thrust from your main engines propelling you forward, so you could really thread the needle and get in the exact position you want to. As you enter Sidonia in Starfield, you'll have that iconic hours without incident sign, and this actually works. You could sit and wait around and watch the hours increase as you do so, but you could also reset the hours without incident by simply causing an incident, and both signs will reflect the new status. You should probably stop buying medpacks in Starfield, or at least buy some of the other ones also. Something a lot of players don't seem to realize is there are actually 3 mainline healing items in the game, with medpacks kind of being the worst of the 3. Medpacks will heal you for 6% health per second for 8 seconds in total, but trauma packs and emergency kits will heal a greater percentage of your health per second, but do it in just 4 seconds. So with these alternatives, you'll actually get your health back even faster. And at most vendors, trauma packs and emergency kits will only cost slightly more than med packs anyway. You can really see it visualized here. Emergency kits are the clear winner overall. It'll give you more HP and it'll give it to you faster. And even though trauma packs do heal you for less HP overall, especially in combat, the HP regeneration is so much faster that I think it makes it better. And all 3 of these items will benefit from the medicine skill in game. And overall, if you think you're out of healing items, that was a common problem I had in the early parts of Starfield, double check, because you probably have something that just isn't a med pack laying around in your inventory. Starfield made a variety of fundamental changes to the Bethesda Game Studios formula. Now things like jetpacks or even sneaking require skills to actually use, although unfortunately there are several aspects of Starfield that you simply can't do yourself. Medpacks or any of the other mainline healing items are not craftable, at least as far as I can tell. I unlocked every single research in the pharmacology tree, and although towards the end you definitely get some very strong and interesting abilities, you still cannot craft medpacks. These have to be found or purchased. But what is far more important is you actually cannot change the receivers of your weapons in Starfield. Like yes, there are research for receivers and various mods you can apply in this category. You can make weapons fully automatic, make them burst fire, or even faster firing revolvers. But unlike in Fallout 4, it seems like in Starfield you cannot change if a weapon is calibrated, refined, or advanced, and this actually has a big impact on that weapon. And since you can't change it, you really need to start watching what weapons you're buying and picking up. You can see it really clearly illustrated here. I have a full suite of drum beats, a basic version, a calibrated version, a refined version, and an advanced version. With each tier up, the weapon is dealing more damage per shot. There's actually a fairly large 25-point damage difference between the worst version and the best version. And as far as I can tell, even after unlocking all of the weapon researches and getting all of the associated weapon perks, you can't actually change this yourself. So you could almost view this as Starfield having a weapon level system. Calibrated, refined, and finally advanced or higher level versions of these weapons. So if you truly want to have a weapon with the most damage, you have to make sure it says advanced in the name. At higher levels in the game, more advanced weapons will spawn. You can see nearly all of the weapons here are advanced on my level 74 character as I go to a vendor. And where this is going to really be important is with legendary rolls. Here I have a super good set of effects on this shotgun, but it's a basic version, so it's always going to be dealing less damage compared to the same exact shotgun with an advanced receiver. Honestly, I think this feature is entirely bizarre to me. I have no idea why Bethesda made this something you can't edit yourself, but just take note, as you're picking up weapons, especially if you're in the mid to late game, make sure it's advanced, otherwise there's going to be a better version of that weapon out there, a higher damage dealing version. And do note, I'm showing you weapons here, but this applies to armor as well. If you're using a great set of armor, but it doesn't say advanced in the title, there's going to be a better advanced version out there. This is definitely one of those features I would love to see changed with mods, and hopefully that'll come sooner rather than later. Food could definitely be an interesting build in Starfield depending on your priorities. Food in Starfield generally isn't going to heal you for all that much, but as opposed to some of the regular healing items, food has the unique benefit of instantly healing you. Your HP will immediately go up while the traditional healing items apply over time. So if you have enough food, you can just spam it for immediate HP. And if you get deeper into the research tree for food, some of the items do start to deal a pretty decent amount of health. At this point, you've probably heard of the Mantis quest. There's tons of videos that have gone up describing how to get OP armor early in Starfield or even an OP spaceship, but nearly all of those videos are leaving out one crucial and incredibly major detail. If you're not familiar, this is going to be a super simple side quest you can get early. All you're going to have to do is find some spacers with the secret outpost note on them, and this will begin the Mantis quest. You'll probably find these spacers at the Nova Galactic Star Yard. This is orbiting the moon, and you go here pretty early, but if you missed that, you can find spacers in other places, like just north of that on Altair 2. And once you get into the quest called Mantis, it's pretty straightforward. You must clear out a dungeon full of various spacers, the backstory being a son is looking for an inheritance from his mother. That inheritance is of course at the end of the dungeon. The spacers want it, and we're going to try and get it too. Eventually you'll hit an area where you must pass through a turret puzzle. Basically you have to spell out a word using the letters on the ground, or the turrets are going to shoot you. The solution here is Tyrannus. At one point you find an audio log where the son describes his mom always saying Sic Semper Tyrannus. This is Latin for thus always to tyrants, aka tyrant leaders will always be overthrown. So basically just spell out Tyrannus on the floor, one R and two N's, make sure you get that right. And if you do this right, none of the turrets will shoot you, although alternatively if you're a high enough level you could just shoot the turrets yourself. And after that you'll have to clear through a few robots, but eventually end up in this giant bat cave of a room. I won't spoil the backstory behind all of this, but here you're basically able to find a really good spaceship, and you can get this super early on, but also a set of legendary armor. And stop, don't pick up that armor if you're watching along with this video, because this is where things get really important. You can get the full set of legendary Mantis armor here. 3 effects will be on each piece of the armor, but once you get these effects, once you pick up the armor, the effects are set in stone for the rest of your game. But if you simply make a quick save right before you open the mannequin with the armor on it, you can re-roll these effects. The way this works is the effects will be applied to the armor as soon as you access the mannequin. So basically here you can see I just keep reloading this quick save over and over, and every time I walk up to the mannequin, the armor has 3 different effects each time. This is a super easy way to farm a god roll set of armor if you're patient enough. And I wouldn't be shocked if quite a few of you are pretty frustrated that you didn't know this tip when you first found this armor, because obviously once you get it you can't go back and fix that unless you have a save from way back then. So hey, get subscribed so you have more tip videos like this in your sub box in the future with good tips. And I think the mechanized effect in particular will be pretty popular. It'll give you plus 40 to your carrying capacity, as well as I always like oxygen bonuses if you get them. You run a ton in Starfield, and having a bit more stamina is always handy. Although, funny enough, this same mechanic does not work with locked chests. Locked chests will always have the same content in it from my testing, even if you use the reload mechanic before unlocking them. You can make your companions in Starfield far more powerful. Just like in past Bethesda games, companions in Starfield only require one type of the ammo for the weapon they're using. So what I found to be particularly strong is giving your companions a very high rate of fire weapon, where maybe you wouldn't be able to keep up with the ammo requirements, but since companions have infinite ammo as long as they have 1 round, they can just mow down enemies all day, burning through thousands of rounds. Sarah Morgan becomes way more of a threat when she's wielding a mag shear. At any point in Starfield, you can change the appearance of your character. Simply go to one of these enhanced locations. There's one in almost every major city, and one right here in New Atlantis in the commercial district right across from UC Distribution. For a mere 500 credits, you could change your body type and face, this being full access to the character configurator again, and you could even change your character's name if you want to. You get your own room in the lodge after joining Constellation, which for some bizarre reason, they made this one of the furthest rooms from the entrance. You have to go all the way down the hallway and around the corner, but this room does have a safe with unlimited carrying capacity. So you can store as much stuff in here as you'd like, but unfortunately this is not going to be hooked up to crafting tables. It's still super handy as bulk overflow storage when your ship is full, but this is definitely another one I would love to see modded to properly hook into crafting tables, even if it's a little OP. But if you are trying to get some better ship parts, you're going to need a higher rank of the piloting skill. This is required to pilot better spaceships, but also unlock some better parts. To level the skill up, you'll need to defeat other ships in combat, and you can do this super easily at the United Colonies Pilot Simulator. This is going to be in the mass building in New Atlantis. Simply take the elevator up to the simulator at any time in the game, and in this you're going to get a free ship and can continuously face waves of enemies without actually damaging your real ship, because, you know, it's a simulator. As soon as you die or you're done, you can simply exit and re-enter, and it's going to restart the process with low-tier enemies once again. And if you're doing this or just really getting to ship combat at all, a couple couple of pretty important tips. You see this highlighted segment on your engine? It seems like this range is going to be your peak maneuverability. So when your engine speed is in this range, your ship can maneuver at its best and at its fastest. Turning will be faster here. Being at full speed or even a lower speed will make those turns take a lot longer, and this could be incredibly powerful in combat while you're trying to outmaneuver enemies. Simply keep the speed gauge roughly in the middle. Another huge mistake I see tons of players making is only some weapon systems need to be locked on. You can see here in the simulator, even as I am still in the locking process on this enemy ship, my laser shots can hit them without issue, because these laser shots don't need a full lock-on to work. As long as the enemy ship is in range and in the giant circle, lasers are locked on. Conversely, missiles as well as some other specialized weaponry do require a full lock-on, so make sure you hold out on using those until the lock is fully established. You can wait for 48 hours in Starfield to reset a vendor's inventory. If you're looking to stock up on supplies in Starfield, you simply have to wait 48 hours and a vendor's inventory will reset. This is really handy if you're just looking for a specific weapon because the list of weapons will reset, or even just trying to get a ton of ammo. And honestly, the simplest tip on this list, but will be a game changer for some of you, when you're on a new planet in Starfield and you have undiscovered locations ahead of you, open up your scanner and simply hit the E key or A on a controller, and it'll tell you what type of location you're looking at. It still won't fully discover it, you can't fast travel there after doing this, but you'll have a better idea of what it actually is. And if you're looking for more Starfield tips, get subscribed. I have a few more videos like this coming, or alternatively check out this video where I give you a bunch of great day one tips for the game.